Okay, so we have the White House, we have the Senate, we have the House of Representatives. So what are we going to do now? I know this is a time of celebration, of feeling good, but now the work begins, doesn't it? This allowed us to start the work. That's what it did. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. We got to get back in the weight room, but it's time to get back in the weight room. What do we need to work on first? First and foremost, the border. It's no debate. Remember, we've talked about this many times before, and we'll get to the debt in a few minutes, but an unending mass immigration, legal and illegal, will end a nation of any size. Any size. No country can withstand unending numbers of people pouring into it from poor, crime-ridden third world dumps. That's not how it works throughout history. Every time it's happened, the country has collapsed. It's not enough to simply secure the border. We have to begin deporting people and deporting them en masse. I like the cut of Tom Homan's jib.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Did that make you squirm in your chair? I hope not, because that's what it's going to take. There is no polite, nice, empathetic way to round up 15 to 20 million people, apprehend them, you have to locate them, you have to apprehend them, and then you have to remove them from your country. And it cannot be done politely. There will be tears. People will get hurt, undoubtedly. That's how it goes. Are you mentally ready for that? It's a must. It must happen. And are we ready for pushback like you've never seen before? Because we've had this talk before. Illegal immigration en masse is not a side issue for communists. It is maybe the central part of their plan. They must replace patriotic citizens with foreigners who can be bought for a Visa card. It is a central part of their plan. Massachusetts governor's already saying, don't expect any help from us.
If the Trump administration requests it, would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not. I think that the key here is that, every tool in the toolbox has got to be used to protect our citizens, to protect our residents, and protect our states, and certainly to hold the line on democracy and the rule of law as a basic principle, right?
Protect our citizens and protect our residents. You know what she said. Again, the communist to the communist. A wide open border, filling up your country with murderers and rapists is not a thing he does on the side. It's everything to him. How else could he collapse this country he's trying to collapse? So we have to be ready for that. And speaking of getting ready about things or to do things that make us uncomfortable, priority number 2, government people have to go to prison. I've said it many times before, but I'm going to say it again. There are little signs and symbols, there are signs and symbols when you're getting in better shape. You're not as out of breath anymore. There are signs. The signs that we are on the right track to fixing this horribly corrupt and broken country will be government people going to prison. Not just fired, not just blasted in the news. No. Arrests, trials, prison. These people are criminals. It's not that we want to just arrest people for being Democrats. Of course not. They have committed crimes against their country, and they must be arrested for those crimes. Remember when Andy McCabe said this?
He runs the risk of really dismantling and greatly incapacitating the Department of Justice and the FBI. I have a lot of conversations with former colleagues, people who are or were in the intelligence and law enforcement community and may have worked in, the Obama administration, other places. And, people are really trying to assess, what is life going to be like if Donald Trump wins a second term? And on a very personal level, these are torturous discussions with their family members about whether or not they have to leave the country to avoid being unconstitutionally and illegally detained. People are actually worried about being thrown in jail or grabbed in some sort of extrajudicial detention.
Yes, they should be worried about being thrown in jail. Many of them should be arrested and put on trial, given a fair trial and put in jail. And everyone who's concerned about that should leave the country with their families. Goodbye, too bad, so sad, we'll see you later. And speaking of the FBI, the organization itself shouldn't exist anymore. I'm not naive enough to think that's something that's going to be done by Donald Trump and the Republicans in the next 4 years. But I'll tell you, cutting out huge portions of the government must happen. It must. No, they're not going to eliminate the FBI like you want, like I want. But huge parts of the government have to go. And when I hear things like this about the Department of Education, sounds good to me.
I'm going to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states. And we're going to do it fast.
Good. They have to go. We can't do this thing where we take a bunch of people in this horrible department, we'll make it the education department. We take these horrible commies and we kick them out because we got the presidency and we replace them with our people, but we leave the department there because what will happen is eventually, shocking as this sounds, Democrats will win another election and then they're going to take our people and remove them and put their people right back in and go back to abusing the country. The department itself has to be removed. And these are the things that make people uncomfortable. And speaking of making people uncomfortable, there's nothing that people hate more than spending cuts. This is one of those things we all lie to ourselves about. Yeah, they need to cut spending. They need to cut spending. And then you show people the federal budget. You say, you want to cut this, this, and this, like the big parts of it that have to be cut to save the country? And that's when they start, well, maybe not that, but spending has to be cut. There's been a lot of talk, serious talk about bringing in Elon Musk, and yes, this has to happen.
All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it's either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook.
It has to happen. And spending cuts are uncomfortable. Remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter, which he renamed X, which is kind of weird. Remember when he bought Twitter? He spent his time firing people. You need to go, and you need to go, and you need to go. And online, it was so sad. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad I'm out of a job. Government employees must be fired by the thousand, and the debt must be cut. We can't have 35 trillion in debt. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it has to happen. And speaking of Elon Musk, he's been hot on something else, even though this isn't the Elon Musk show. The birth rate, families. This is not a small thing. And no, I don't want the federal government to get too involved in families, but as a country, we are losing our nuclear families. For a variety of reasons, we're losing nuclear families. Young men are not marrying young women and staying married and making babies. And I know this gets really uncomfortable because everyone has a different walk in life, and maybe that wasn't your walk in life, but the nuclear family is the building block of every country, not just ours, every country. A country made up of strong nuclear families will be strong. And a country where nuclear families have been shattered will be weak, and it will blow with the wind. And that's where we are right now. Maybe that looks like tax incentives. Maybe it just looks like more talking about it, being bold about cultural issues like that. But this is where we have to go to save the country, all right? All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.